of the bowl game. Now, I'm not questioning whether players should opt out or shouldn't opt out. Obviously, if you're trying to protect your financial future in the NFL, that's your choice. Yeah. I mean, I would probably have done the same thing had I been Kyle Pitts. All right. But is Dan Mullen making excuses there? Because that's what, again, social media, and I realize social media isn't, the do-all, end-all for, the truth out there. But do you think Dan Mullen was making excuses there? Because I don't. I think he was telling the truth.
No, well, so in an excuse, you can probably find a little bit of the truth, right? But then as a coach, you do have to take responsibility for losses. You can't just go, oh, well, this really was. He's referred to the players that played in that game as their scout team players.
These are the same guys that are going to be on the team next year.
And then here's the other thing to me, which is so ironic, right? As he's going, impossible to win a game when you've got this few players. It's not our real team. What did LSU do to Florida when they rolled into the swamp with a true freshman starting quarterback, his first ever start? They had 50 scholarship guys able to play that football game. Ed Orgeron didn't make excuses. Ed Orgeron went in there and won that football game. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So you can win. So the idea that we can't win this game, we have no chance.
Hey, but hold on now. It's not like Florida during the LSU game was full strength as well. They had COVID players missing as well. They had Kyle Pitts missing. So it's not like the Gators were at full. And again, I'm not making excuses for the Gators for losing the LSU.
Do we know that Oklahoma was at full strength? Maybe Oklahoma was missing a player too.
Oklahoma had one opt-out.
No, but I'm saying COVID or injury concern. I mean, look, the idea is this, Dan Mullen. I don't know if you know this or not. The rest of the country had to deal with this as well. Everybody went through. There probably isn't a college football team that could say, hey, we had our team the whole way through the season. Would have loved that. Absolutely you would have. But for him to say this after a loss, and especially an embarrassing loss, it just reeks of an excuse. Then referring to his players as scout team guys. Again, Dan Mullen.
A lot of those guys were on the scout team for most of the season. A lot of the guys that played against Oklahoma were on the scout team for a lot of the season. So you just want him to just lie.
What do you mean lie? And say, hey, listen, we got outcoached, we got outplayed. Yeah, yes. No, and that's not a lie. They did get outcoached. They did get outplayed. It is the matter of the truth.
I don't think they got outcoached at all. I think Dan Mullen I don't think they did. I think Dan Mullen used this game, and we saw it after Kyle Trask threw his interceptions. Dan Mullen pulled Kyle Trask out of the game and went with his two. I think Dan Mullen used this bowl game as sort of a evaluation process.
They gave up 600 yards. They got outplayed. They got outcoached. Again, one of the things that I think people respect out of coaches, whether it's your favorite team's coach or not, is in a loss that you stand front and center and you say, listen, that's on me. We lost the game. I didn't have the look. I knew. Look, he knew after the SEC title game what players he was going to have available, or had a really good idea about it. It was his job to get the next guys ready. Look, when teams win these games, they go, next man up. That's the mantra. Next man up. We get the next guy ready. And then when they lose, then it's, oh, woe is us. We didn't have a chance and stuff. To me, a coach should bear some of that burden of the loss to say, look, we got outcoached. The other team had their team ready to play. The other coach did. Lincoln Riley outcoached me. Their team outplayed us, and that's why we got thumped.
All right, we have a supplemental poll on this. Is Dan Mullen making excuses or simply being honest when he pointed out that his team was playing with a skeleton crew because of the opt-outs? You can go vote at 96.9 The Game or at The Game Jags. All right, straight ahead, the question for the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. After you saw Justin Fields outplay Trevor Lawrence, are you having second thoughts? We will discuss and debate that next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next.
Cowardly, gutless, and wrong.
For years, you've been thinking about getting LASIK. You've been talking about getting LASIK. And now it's finally time to get LASIK. Right
You talk to Shad Khan. Do you have any time set up tomorrow where you're going to meet with Shad about your future?
Yeah, I mean, and all that stuff started coming out yesterday. I gave him a call. He said it was news to him, and he would talk to me on Monday, and didn't really give me a time yet.
That was Doug Marrone, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, answering the question. I believe that question was from Mark Long of the Associated Press. Have you talked to the owner of the Jaguars about your future? Doug Marrone, yes. I talked to him yesterday when all the Urban Meyer rumors started coming out. The Urban Meyer rumors, of course, being reported by Ian Rappaport, who has reported for the NFL Network that Urban Meyer is getting a staff together and telling people that he's going to coach the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hell, who knows? Doug Marrone may be fired today. Urban Meyer may be hired tomorrow. Or maybe Urban Meyer will be hired later today. We don't know, but it would be a splashy hire for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You want to talk about making a splash. Man, that would make a splash for the Jaguars. The other thing that's going to make a splash for the Jaguars, obviously they have won or lost the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming draft. And I'm just wondering, now I don't know how much you guys watch the championship games, but I watched them, and I'm sure you guys watch them as well. But Justin Fields of Ohio State, my God, he badly outplayed Trevor Lawrence on New Year's Day or New Year's night. What did he throw? 6 touchdown passes in that game. Obviously, Ohio State blew out Clemson 49-28. I'm just wondering now, Trevor Lawrence, he's been the presumptive number 1 pick all season long. All right. Does this one performance by Justin Fields at least give the Jaguars reason for pause and to think about, hey, maybe we should draft Justin Fields ahead of Trevor Lawrence? Now, it wouldn't give me reason for pause. I still think Trevor Lawrence is the best player in the country. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. It's not like he was awful against Ohio State. He did throw for 400 yards, 33 of 48. 3 touchdowns, but he was picked off, fumbled, and did not lead his team, his favored team, to the national championship. If you guys were the Jaguars, would you guys have second thoughts?
Well, I mean, second thoughts is strong, but I will say this. It isn't just the performance the other night against Clemson that would give me cause to sort of look into Justin Fields as a legitimate option. Remember, this is a guy that I think going into the postseason last year, he had 40 touchdowns and 1 interception, 1 or 2 interceptions. So this isn't a guy that just sort of popped on the radar in one football game. Justin Fields was the a top quarterback coming out of high school, was at Georgia, then had to transfer out and has found a great home there at Ohio State and what he's done. I'll say this, that this may be one of those situations where I'd like to have the second pick in the draft, because then all the pressure's off you to pick the right guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll just take whichever guy falls to you. You don't want the pressure of going like, man, I better get Peyton Manning out of this deal. I don't think that either one of these guys is Ryan Leaf by any means. But obviously when these two guys are drafted 1 and probably 2 or 1 and 3, their careers will be measured against each other for many years to come. So I don't think the Jags can go wrong either way, to be honest with you. But I think that, Trevor Lawrence is the guy that has, sort of had the target on his back, or at least the fans have sort of been pining for him. But again, if you ended up with Justin Fields or decided he was the guy for the franchise, I don't think as a Jaguar fan you should cry.
I just don't think that, and I don't think that one game, again, if you thought Trevor Lawrence was the best guy all along, I don't think one game, even though it was a big game, obviously, the college football playoff semifinal, I don't think one game should decide, okay, I'm changing my mind now. I really don't. And again, Justin Fields has had he had some bad games, or he at least had one pretty bad game against Indiana. He wasn't at his best in that game. He didn't look spectacular in that game. So again, I don't know that one game should make you change your mind on Trevor Lawrence. It wouldn't me, because I think Trevor Lawrence is overall just a better athlete than Justin Fields. I do.
I think Justin Fields is better, dual threat guy. I mean, his legs are better than Trevor Lawrence. But again, Trevor Lawrence is, I mean, since his freshman year, he's one of those guys that, I mean, this is how good Trevor Lawrence is. He's kind of our almost semi-annual, hey, this guy had a great freshman year. Wouldn't it be nice if the NFL could just draft him right now? Because he would have been the number one pick in the draft had he come out after his freshman year. And that's what kind of, I don't want to say generational talent, because we got a lot of generational talent out there, but he's that guy. He is in the Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, this guy will not fail in the NFL, I am sure of it, mold. That's where people think of Trevor Lawrence, whereas I guess maybe with Justin Fields, maybe there'd be some concern. But again, if you end up with Justin Fields as the consolation prize in the NFL, I need a quarterback, race, you're doing okay.
I wonder, we talked about this a little bit, or at least I mentioned it last segment. Kyle Trask, obviously, has, he's been targeted maybe as a first-round draft pick. I think most people thought he was a first-round draft pick, or think he is a first-round draft pick. I'm wondering, did he hurt himself at all in that Cotton Bowl game? Because again, you can blame the receivers, and he didn't have his allotment of receivers. In fact, his top 4 receivers were missing, and he was throwing the ball to scout team wide receivers. But a couple of those interceptions were pretty bad interceptions, especially the pick 6 that he threw. That wasn't the receiver's fault. That was Kyle Trask's fault. All right. So did he hurt himself in this game?
Well, he sure as hell didn't help himself, I'll tell you that much. I mean, it's hard to take away an entire season where Kyle Trask was arguably the best quarterback in the SEC, arguably. It's hard to take that away with one game. However, when you take a look at, okay, he's supposed to be the best player on this team because he's the one who's been talked about for Heisman. He's had the stats. He's done it all, and then it's just him and he can't do it alone. That kind of hurts you. That hurts your image as the best player on the team.
I just wonder, maybe Kyle Trask, and again, Zach Wilson was probably going to be taken ahead of him anyway. All right. So, maybe that solidified it. Maybe the performance in the Cotton Bowl solidified that Zach Wilson of BYU will be the 3rd quarterback taken, and Kyle Trask will be the 4th quarterback taken.
Well, I'm actually doing some research on it. I'm looking at some lists. They actually have him behind Trey Lance, the quarterback from North Dakota State.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, this is a guy whose name earlier this year, his name's been up there.
Yeah, sure.
So that puts Kyle Trask at the 5th spot. And then
that's still probably the 1st round.
It has him, somewhere between the early 2nd round and the 4th round, depending on. But what about Mac Jones? I mean, oh yeah. I mean, look at this. This guy's not done anything to hurt his stock by any means. He's a Heisman Trophy finalist as well, and I mean, again, not that one game is going to do anything. So I think quarterbacks 4 through 6 are sort of not in that top 3, but yeah, I don't think that the game hurt his draft stock by any means. I just think he is where he is, and here's the thing: there's only 1.5 years of tape on Kyle Trask. So I mean, for NFL teams to invest a 1st round pick in him, that must be pretty scary. He's got 1 year of actual really good tape. Well, Joe Burrow really had only 1 year of really good tape, but it worked out well for him.
Absolutely. All right, up next, it's Game Balls and Goop Balls. We want your Game Balls and Goop Balls. You can text them in to 50857. You can give us a call, 407-916-8255. Also, your first chance at $1,000, our new cash contest, our New Year's cash contest, 7:10 a.m. this morning. You'll want to be listening for that. All right, I'm going to give Ohio State a game ball, obviously, but I refuse. I refuse to give Clemson coach Dabo Swinney a goop ball. I'll explain next on Open Mic.
flopped.
We got flops all over the place.
It's time for Game Balls and Goofballs on Open Mic.
All right, that's twice I've dropped the mic.
Good thing that wasn't over the air, but that was funny.
Oh,
I just hear in my ear, ah!
twice I've dropped it. All right, we want your game balls and goof balls. You can text them in 50857. You can give us a call, 407-916-8255. At the end of this segment, your dash for cash begins today. Holidays are over. Bills are piling up. It's time to make a dash for cash, and we've got your chance to win $1,000 12 times per day. Listen for the keyword, then text that word in to 200 for your chance at $1,000. Starts at 7:10 a.m. and then on the 10s throughout the day, right here on FM 96.9 The Game, AM 930 up in Jacksonville. All right, Dan is on line one. He has, Dan, do you have a game ball?
Oh, hello?
Yes,
Yeah, Dan?
Yeah, first off, Bianchi, always a pleasure to talk to the greatest sports columnist of the 20th century.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for your write on Sunday. It did my heart wonders that you wrote about Cy McLaren and not Dabo on Sunday, and I appreciate that. And also, I guess my game ball will be going to the GOAT, Cy McLaren, Bethune-Cookman, who we lost last week at the age of 89.
Cy McLaren, he was a pioneer at Bethune-Cookman, played at Bethune-Cookman, coached at Bethune-Cookman, was an athletics director at Bethune-Cookman. Dan, as somebody who knew Cy McLaren, this guy was a walking history book, wasn't he?
Oh, my gosh. It's like, let me tell you about the first history book. He let me borrow his scrapbook, and I looked at the first page and going, holy, Coach, this is you and Branch Rickey. And then he looked, yeah, I'll bring the picture of me and Jim Brown in tomorrow. I'm going, well, that's great, Coach. That's going to give me 24 hours to recover from getting my mind blown.
Yeah.
So, and then it just, everybody's got the story, and what you wrote about. In 55, the Steelers keep him and cut Unitas. In 57, he finishes ahead of Frank Gifford and his roommates with Jim Brown, the Pro Bowl. He coaches two 72 Dolphins, and the 72 Dolphins get to the Super Bowl with Earl Morrow, who was his quarterback at Pittsburgh. It's just, and then, it goes on and on and on. I have been honored to handle his publicity for 30 years.
Jack Cy McLaren, he will be missed. Obviously, 89 years old, he passes away. He lived a full life, and we will miss Cy McLaren. Thank you, Dan, for calling.
Always a pleasure, Bianchi.
All right, we want your game balls and your goop balls. Obviously, I'm giving a game ball to Ohio State, even though I was one of those who didn't think they belonged in the playoff. But I'll tell you what, man, did Justin Fields and those Buckeyes look good on New Year's Day, just blowing out Clemson. Give me some Buckeyes sound.
Fields from his 36 cranks and fires deep down the left side inside the 10. Olave got it for a score. It's a 56-yard scoring strike. Lawrence takes it to the right, runs it straight ahead, and he's grabbed by Tommy Togiai and stopped. Football fumbled at the end of the play. There's a scramble for it, and it looks like Ohio State may have it. And Justin Hilliard's got the football. Fields is going to pull the trigger. Sends airmail deep down the middle of the field for Williams. Got it. Touchdown, Jamison Williams down the middle of the field. Justin Fields with his 6th touchdown pass of the night.
Justin Fields was unbelievable in that game. We've talked about him, so he and his Buckeyes get a game ball. But I refuse to give Dabo Swinney a goop ball. Obviously, he has been criticized vociferously after the loss to the Buckeyes for ranking Ohio State number 11 in his final coaches poll at the end of the regular season. But he ranked teams based on their resume this season, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to rank teams based on their resume during the current season. Here was Dabo being grilled by reporters after the game.
Dabo, do you think your coach's poll ballot had anything to do with their motivation? And either way, do you regret not not ranking them 11th, but just the way you explained it.
No, I don't regret any of that. And, the polls have nothing to do with motivation. Both teams were highly motivated to play. And listen, they're a great team. As I said, that had nothing to do with Ohio State. I said they were good enough to beat us, good enough to win the whole dang thing. I didn't think anybody that didn't play at least 9 games, in my poll, that I wasn't going to put them in the top 10. So I wasn't going to change that just because there was a chance we could play them. So I don't have any regret about that. The only thing I regret is I obviously didn't do a good enough job getting my team ready, but I don't regret anything.
Weak sauce. Why is that weak sauce?
That's weak sauce, brother.
Why?
I will say this. I will give him credit for the very last thing. Dan Mullen needs to take notes. I regret not getting my team ready. Yeah. Listen, at least he slid in some, like, hey, this part of this is my fault. At the end of the day, I'll be interested to see his final coach's ballot to see if he ranks Clemson 12th at the end, seeing how they lost to the 11th. They didn't just lose. They got absolutely curb stomped by the 11th best team in the country.
Well, again, he's not saying that they were the 11th best team in the country. He was saying that based on their resume this year, that's where they should be ranked.
Then
and again,
what? Like, it doesn't.
No,
it's so infuriating. It's so infuriating.
No, you cannot rank teams based on how good you think they might be. You have to rank teams based on their resume. Otherwise, you would rank all your Power 5 teams ahead of Cincinnati or ahead of Coastal
anyway.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Did that.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about this is, like, one of my biggest pet peeves in college football is the preseason poll. And let me ask you this: does Dabo Swinney turn in a preseason coach's ballot?
I don't know that the coaches do. They do a preseason poll? Maybe they do.
Or does he start ranking teams after they get 9 wins underneath their 9 games underneath their belt, or is he willing to rank teams in the top 10 even though they're 0-0, even though teams are 1-0?
Okay, come on now, that's different. First of all, a lot of Big Ten teams weren't ranked at the beginning of the season because they weren't even playing at the beginning of the season, and they had no plans to play at the beginning of the season.
That's a great point. I should go and look and see what he put in Ohio State, knowing that their schedule was going to be only 8 games, because he said 9 games. Mm-hmm. Teams that didn't have at least 9 games, he wasn't going to put in their top 10. Knowing that the Big Ten had only 8 games scheduled, I'm gonna go look and see if Dabo Swinney thought when they came along, if he thought Ohio State at that point was a top 10 team, knowing they wouldn't have 9 games under his very strict polling procedure.
Yeah, right.
Dabo Swinney did absolutely the right thing in my book. He based his ranking on resume and not on history and heritage.
Fine, you don't have to give him a goofball, but you know damn well I'm giving him a goofball.
And how about this? How about the history and heritage? The history books are going to say he got whipped by the 11th ranked team, in his opinion.
He did get whipped. Yeah. I'll tell you who didn't get whipped, though. Alabama, man, Devonta Smith, 3 touchdown passes as Alabama rolls over Notre Dame 31-14. Got to give Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide a game ball. Give me some sound from their game.
Quick throw, left side screen. Devontae gets the corner. Down the left sideline. He's to the 10. He's to the 5. Does he step out or is it a touchdown? It is Alabama with a 6-0 lead.
Handoff to Harris around the right side across the 35. Leaves the defender at the 45. Running down the near sideline. 30, 25, 20. And run out of bounds inside the Fighting Irish 20-yard line.
Mack gets the snap. Rolls right and throws. It is caught. Touchdown at the goal line by Devonta Smith. Mack is fine. Devonta is fine. Everything is fine if you love Crimson.
Okay, it was clear to me before the game, and it's clear to me now that Devonta Smith deserves the Heisman Trophy. 16 touchdown catches in his last 7 games, 7 catches for 130 yards against Notre Dame, so he gets a big game ball. And how about a goofball to Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly for whining about how his team is perceived and how they can't win the big game. Listen to Brian Kelly after the game.
I guess everybody needs to continue to carry this narrative that Notre Dame's not good enough. Look at the scores of the games that Alabama's played all year. I think we need to start to change the narrative a little bit. This team was out there competing and having a chance to win. I really don't want to continue to go down this path. We're going to keep getting here, okay? And we're going to keep banging at it. And you guys watched the game, didn't you? They made plays on the perimeter. They have the college football player of the year. We battled. We were right there. I'm sorry if you don't like it. We're going to go back to work. We're going to keep recruiting, and we're going to put ourselves back in this position again.
Okay, I never got the feeling that they were right there in this game.
Right at the beginning. They were tied.
Yeah, 0-0, and then it was, what was it, 21-0, or was it 21-7? I'm trying to remember. But they were never really a factor in this game, were they?
No, it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it. But, I mean, Mike, let me use some of your logic. 5 minutes ago, you said you can't base all this on history and tradition and all that stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, so you can't go, hey, Notre Dame doesn't deserve to be in next year because this is what happens every single year when they play. You know what I'm saying? Like the idea that we should hold recent history against Notre Dame when considering a college football playoff, but not then give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you got to kind of pick or choose.
Hold on now. I'm not saying Notre Dame didn't belong in the playoff.
But what he's saying, what he was talking about is that's what people were saying. Why is Notre Dame in the playoffs? Because we know what happens every time they play a big game, they end up losing. Don't even put them in. They don't belong in because they're going to end up losing. And for people that agree with that sentiment, it is what it is. College football is a history and tradition-driven brand. And Notre Dame, Ohio State, the Michigans of the world, the Texas when they get good again, USC, they're going to reap the benefits of that. And Notre Dame right now is. And listen, Notre Dame's a one-loss or an undefeated team next year. Guess where they're going to be? In the playoffs again.
Absolutely. But you know what? They played more than 6 games. All right, let's pause for station identification.
FM 96.9, The Game. WYGM, Orlando. WJRR, HD2, Cocoa Beach, Orlando. The home of the UCF Knights.
Speaking of Alabama, how about I want to give a goofball to Texas, all right? A goofball to the University of Texas. Okay, so they hired Steve Sarkisian, the Alabama offensive coordinator, to be their next head coach. But I'm giving a goofball for even firing Tom Herman. All right, Tom Herman finished 7-3 this year. He was 32-18 at Texas. All right, I realize he wasn't as good as Oklahoma, but come on, a $15 million buyout, $10 million buyout for his assistant coaches. That's $25 million in a year where college football is going through a financial crisis again. I'll say the same thing I said when Auburn fired Gus Malzahn. If I were a booster at one of these schools and they came running to me for money because of the financial crunch, I would tell them to go to hell. Go to hell. You're getting none of my money after you're buying out these assistant coaches and Tom Herman for $25 million.
I think none. I think Texas's budget, their sports budget, is like $200 and something million. So it's like 10%. It's like 10%. Think about it. What you have in your wallet right now. You just 10% of it. Doesn't feel
Fly
like
came out.
Well, which is, we say that. That's 25 to get the last guy out. Now you got to pay to get the next guy and his staff in. So that's probably another 10% of your budget as well. So 20% to roll over the staff of obviously your biggest revenue generator at Texas. So and everybody wants somebody who's got maybe the secret Alabama sauce too. So.
How's that Alabama sauce worked at Florida? How's it worked throughout the country? I guess you could say it might be working at Texas A&M right now because Jimbo Fisher once coached under Nick Saban a long, long time ago.
That was the LSU secret sauce, though. Then, And oh, by the way, you don't want Steve Sarkisian next to around any sauce. By the way,
right? Goofball to the state of Florida in bowl games. 0-4 in bowl games this year. UF, UCF, Miami, FAU, they all lose in bowl games. What was that movie, Crazy Heart, with Jeff Bridges, who said we used to be somebody, but now we're somebody else? Yeah, we used to be somebody in the state of Florida when it came to college football. Now we're not so much anymore. So...
I didn't see what
welcome to Nebraska.
I didn't see what FAU did, but at least Miami was competitive in their game.
Yeah, until they lost their quarterback for who knows how long.
8 months. 8 months, Mike. He's going to be back. He's going to be back ready for the start of next season.
Man. Goofball to Johnny Manziel. He says he will resume his playing career with a startup league called Fan Controlled Football. All right. A more appropriate name would be Fan Bereft Football. All right. There'll be no fans in this new league. Yeah, Johnny Manziel just needs to give it up. You blew it. Hey, dude, you blew it. Did he not blow it? He's not. What's he coming back to play in some minuscule league? He's not going to make any money doing that. I would be shocked.
He's the biggest name on that roster. Absolutely, he's gonna make 10% of the entire league. Probably.
I will be shocked if that league even kicks off. All right. I will be shocked.
Add it to the long list of leagues that have a great plan.
Yeah.
The All-American Football League.
Just wait for the XFL's return from the return, because the Rock owns them now. Wait for Johnny Manziel to pop up back there.
Okay.
But the thing about Johnny Manziel, which I think Johnny Manziel is interesting, because he's a less successful Baker Mayfield, in my opinion.
Infinitely less.
I mean, infinitely less, absolutely. But Baker Mayfield is just a better Johnny Manziel, because he's a partier. When things are going bad, things go real bad. But he just has found a way to overcome those in ways that Johnny Manziel hasn't.
By the way, Johnny Manziel also scheduled to play in my next year's Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl in Ocala. He will also make an appearance there.
He'll be playing in the Manure Bowl as well in Palatka, Florida.
Nice.
All right? Yeah. Speaking of game balls, how about a game ball for the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield for clinching the Browns' first playoff appearance since, 2002. 2002, 18 seasons it's been since the Cleveland Browns made the playoffs. Well, they did it yesterday with a victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24-22. It was close, though. It was close. Pittsburgh's Mason Rudolph, he tossed a touchdown pass to Juju Smith-Schuster with about 1:20 remaining. They go for 2 points, and this is what happens.
Rudolph backpedals into the shotgun. McDonald, the tight end, goes right to left. This is for 2 points in the tie. Rudolph to throw. End zone, no good. He missed it as he overthrows Claypool in the left corner of the end zone with Robert Jackson on him. And with 1:23 left, the Browns lead by 2.
The Browns going to the playoffs. So good for the Cleveland Browns. We have to give a game ball, by the way. Did you guys see the Yulee freight train Derrick Henry yesterday? Oh my God. Give me a Derrick Henry highlight.
Tannehill marking it out. Going to give Henry a turn. He's got the first down and more. 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown! Titans, 52 yards for the King, and the Titans zoom in front.
The King.
So terrible.
What?
He said zoom.
Touchdown, Titans! I love
Derrick
that guy.
Henry, by the way, surpassed 2,000 rushing yards yesterday. 2,000 rushing yards, 250 yards he had yesterday, 2 touchdowns, leads the Titans. How many 2,000 yards? Okay, so I think there's been 8 other players or 7 other players who had 2,000 yards. The Juice, O.J. Simpson, Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders. Did he get 2,000 yards? I think he did. Terrell Davis, I remember, got 2,000 yards. Chris Johnson, also with the Titans, he got 2,000 yards. And Adrian Peterson. Am I missing anybody?
Man, that sounds about right.
Sounds right. Did you say LaDainian Tomlinson?
No, I don't think he got 2,000. Jamal Lewis. I just found the list. Jamal Lewis also had 2,000 yards. He was a one-hit wonder. So, where do you guys fall on what happened yesterday with the Philadelphia Eagles? Now, the Eagles obviously were playing for nothing yesterday against the Washington football team. The Washington football team needed to win the game to make the playoffs. If Philadelphia had won, the New York Giants would have made the playoffs. So what does Doug Peterson do late in the game with his team trailing? I think they were trailing by a field goal at the time. He pulls out Jalen Hurts and puts in Nate Sudfeld at the end of that game, and the Eagles end up losing. And after the game, people were accusing Doug Peterson of trying to improve the Eagles' draft status, because with the loss, they now have the 6th pick. If they'd have won, they would have had the 9th pick. Here was Doug Peterson defending himself after the game.
Yes, I was coaching to win. Yes, that was my decision solely. Nate has obviously been here for 4 years. He deserved an opportunity to get some snaps. And if there's anything out there that thinks that I was not trying to win the game, Ertz is out there, Brandon Graham's out there, Darius Slay's out there. You know, all our top guys are still on the field at the end. So we were going to win the game.
There you have it. There you have it.
You want to talk about some weak sauce, brother?
Listen,
weak sauce.
No, that's not weak sauce.
No, come on, Mike. He's not. I mean, he's got to be honest.
Jalen Hurts was terrible yesterday throwing the ball. He was 7 of 20. He was 7
of this college. Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares? This is the NFL. He's your starter. What have we talked about this entire season with
First
the
of all,
Miami
he's
Dolphins?
only been the starter for 2 games, all right? He's 7 of 20. It's not Doug Peterson's job to make sure the New York Giants make the playoffs. He wanted to get a look at this Sudfeld guy. So what? So what?
Mike, you're not in studio, but I can smell the bowl from here.
Listen, here's
7 of 20. Here's Jalen Hurts. He was playing terrible.
Here's the God's honest truth.
7 of 20 for 72 yards with an interception. He was playing awful.
He can't come straight out and say, listen, you know, at that moment we recognize it's better for us if we lose the football game. This is what
I don't believe that. Why did he leave the other guys in? Why did he leave the other guys in?
I mean,
why did he leave the other starters in?
Yeah, plausible deniability is right.
Oh, stop
this is a lot like when the Jaguars weren't playing Gardner Minshew and they were like putting guys in there that you know, just so they would lose games. I'll say this though, but that's what we get in a sport that rewards poor play. Is that if you're really bad, we're going to give you a gift for that. You know what I mean? It's one of the things I heard.
Yes, and Jalen Hurts was really bad yesterday. Really bad. What's the matter with pulling, first of all, a guy who's not really your starting quarterback, and putting in another guy to see what he looks like?
If they were down by 30, Mike, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's take a look at the next guy. This is now our third guy.
When did Jalen Hurts become the next superstar in the NFL? You guys are acting like this guy is a proven super.
Either way, he's still the starter.
You pull your starter being down by 3. Do you listen?
Tua Tagovailoa is a 5th. Number 5 overall pick. He's been pulled. I don't see anything the matter with pulling Jalen Hurts when he's playing awful to get a look at Nate freaking Sudfeld, for crying out loud.
Listen, I don't see anything wrong with it too, because in this league you're rewarded by by being bad. And so yes, I think that the motivating factor there wasn't because, hey, I think this guy who's never played for us is the ticket to get us this win here. We're down by 3. You know what this game's missing? A little Nate Sudfeld. That's what this game's missing.
Hey, let's see what Nate looks like when the lights come on. Let's see what Nate looks like.
Yeah, let's see what that 6th pick looks like.
Straight ahead, it's the sound off right around the corner. But first, your chance right now at $1,000.
Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are playoff bound. Get the latest news on the Bucs' run for the Lombardi Trophy right here on FM 96.9 The Game.
That is the sound off music. At the end of this segment, we have a 4-pack of Magic tickets to tonight's game we are going to give away. Before we get into the sound off, though, real quick, you guys underestimate the great Nate Sudfeld. All right, Nate Sudfeld was 5 of 12 passing for 32 yards yesterday. Much better percentage than Jalen Hurts, 7 of 20 for 72 yards. So there you have it. Both of them threw a pick. 5 of 12.
That's the dumbest stat line I've ever heard.
So he threw an interception in 12 attempts, and Jalen Hurts threw one in 21 attempts. So this guy's like twice as likely to throw an interception. Get him out of the game. But I think that they knew he was twice as likely to throw an interception.
By the way, Jalen Hurts also had a couple of touchdown runs, which I failed to.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Included that.
Wow, weird.
Anyway, Anyway, all right. What do we have?
I appreciate the effort, and the professionalism of all the players. I feel that we have, some really good coaches on the staff that have done a nice job, keeping everything together, and whatever happens is going to happen. I mean, I know the record doesn't reflect it. I know that I'm a good football coach, and I'm looking to have, an opportunity, and, we'll see where it goes.
Mike, we start off with Jacksonville Jaguars head coach for now, Doug Marrone, talking about, hey, whatever happens is going to happen. Well, who knows? Maybe by the end of the day, Doug Marrone is no longer the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It really doesn't seem like he has a chance to make it to next season. Do you feel for the guy? Do you think he could make this team better if they just got the pieces around him, or is he a lost cause?
No, he's not going to be back as the head coach, and I don't think Doug Marrone is a bad football coach, but the Jaguars, you can't survive 1-15, all right? The Jaguars are going to make a change. It looks like Urban Meyer may be the next head coach, according to the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, and the Jaguars, that is a beleaguered fan base. They need a splash, and Urban Meyer would be a splash. They're going to have a new quarterback. Everybody knows Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars. He's trying to develop all the land around the stadium. He needs the Jaguars fans to be feeling good next season. So this change has to be made, and it's not a reflection of Doug Marrone's coaching.
Sound off. Got to keep it going. We got a big one next week. It all comes down to one game. It's now that the regular season's over, it's about it's one football game. Who plays well, who executes when the pressure's on.
That was Tom Brady, quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Adam, when it comes to playoff experience, Tom Brady has the most of seemingly everybody in the NFL. Do you think that is the key to a long run in the playoffs for the Buccaneers?
It won't hurt them. Obviously, got to get Mike Evans back healthy. I think the initial word on him has actually been pretty positive, that it's just a hyperextension and no structural damage, so that's going to be important. He and Antonio Brown are linking up a little bit more, so that adds to it as well. I don't know that it's the biggest thing going for the Bucs, because they're a talented football team. They're a good football team. But it certainly helps to navigate this, and maybe he can help some guys that aren't experienced in the playoffs sort of know what to expect as we get into the playoffs now.
Sound off. Well, I think, it's hard to say. That really, with the number of people that were out for the game, we were under numbers, actually. To be honest with you, I guess we could have said I give our guys credit. We had the numbers to not play the game.
Mike, that was Dan Mullen, head coach of the Florida Gators, saying, listen, we didn't have the guys, so, technically we could have just not played. Why the hell did he play the game then? What's going on here?
Because the SEC gets a lot of money for playing New Year's Six bowl games. That's why they played the game. And, if this had been a normal regular season game, maybe it gets postponed. But no, the Gators played it. We all know the reason this season in general was played was because of money. So, again, Dan Mullen, you can criticize him all you want. He's telling the truth. They had a skeleton crew out there. They had less than 60 scholarship players. Their entire receiving corps was gone. 9 players, 9 starters from the previous week were not playing. Again, the Gators had no business even being in that game, and they weren't.
Sound off. So many people doubted us going into this game, and these guys stuck together. They wanted a chance to come back and play, and who would have imagined the journey would have come all the way to right here to play Clemson again in the same game, and to come back and play the way we did. Now we got an opportunity to go win the whole thing and maybe write one of the best stories ever in college football history.
So that's Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State, talking about we got a chance to have the biggest comeback story in all of college football, brother. Adam, what do you think about this story?
I mean, it's not. The comeback story. Now they did focus a lot on their loss to Clemson last year, and that was sort of a driving and a motivating force for this football team when they decided to play. The only person that will look at this as like some Cinderella story and drive to a championship would be Dabo Swinney, who clearly thinks that this is like the 11 seed winning in the NCAA tournament in basketball. Listen, Ohio State is a blue blood. We know that they're one of the most talented teams in college football by the way that they recruit. Unfortunately for them, they had 3 games canceled due to COVID this year. Not because of them, but because of the other teams. And so it sort of cast a negative light on their ability to participate in this playoff. But once they punched the ticket, they punched the face of Clemson in that game there, and now they're in the national championship game, and they're 1 win away from claiming a national championship.
Sound off. That's the sound off for today, and that means... Hell yeah, brother, we got a 4-pack of tickets to tonight's Orlando Magic game at the Amway Center. They take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's happening tonight, 7 o'clock. Give us a call, 407-916-8255 for your chance of that 4-pack of tickets. Again, that's 407-916-8255.
More open mic up next.
Cowardly, gutless, and wrong.
The Christmas gift-giving season obviously is over, but it is always a time to give a great gift, especially a sports gift for that sports fan in your life. You've got Valentine's Day coming up. You've got graduations. Let me tell you about my good friend Nancy. She's a huge sports fan. She used to run a quilt shop in Winter Garden. That closed during the pandemic. Now, because she loves sports so much, she decided, I'm going to make sports gifts. She creates them. She sews them. Anything you want sports-wise, she will do it. Go to nancylovesports.com. Browse her personalized sports gifts. She's got sports towels. She's got team pillows. She's got face masks. She's got gift bags. She's got onesies for your little baby if you want one. Also, if you ever wonder what to do with your kids' sports t-shirts or jerseys, Nancy makes a beautiful custom quilt with them. You can hold on and cherish that quilt and have the memories for a lifetime. They make a perfect graduation gift. By the way, if you don't see what you're looking for, send Nancy a message. She will work on customizing just the right gift for you. Enter the code BULLDOG for 20% off your order at nancylovesports.com. That's Nancy, Nancy, lovesports.com.
Mornings at 9:30 on FM 96.9 The Game.
This is Aaron Gordon from the Orlando Magic. Take 96.9 The Game anywhere with iHeartRadio.
Give us a call, 407-916-8255. Hope everybody had a happy new year. My New Year's resolution is to lower my triglycerides. That's what old guys do for New Year's resolutions. My triglycerides are a little bit high. Means need to cut back on the red meat. Need to cut back on the beer maybe a little bit.
What's a triglyceride? Isn't that what explodes when you
It's a
when you hit it?
cholesterol. No, it's something to do with your cholesterol.
That's nitroglycerin.
Oh,
yeah, it's nitroglycerin. Yeah. So, you guys have a New Year's resolution?
Actually,
Anyone?
I don't. I
Really?
do. No, I do. Normally, it's like my default answer is to lose some weight, because I'm normally pretty fat. But since I've already accomplished that, by the way, 184.8 this morning.
Let's go.
So yeah, so I'm actually one of my Christmas gifts this year, or my big Christmas gift is I'm going back to school. So my New Year's resolution is to start
get that high school diploma, are you?
Yeah, I was reading up on this thing called the GED. I don't know what this GED's all about, but I'm interested in it. No, I've already got my GED, and I did a little college way back when, but I was busy and starting a family and stuff like that, and so I got into radio, and then that fast lifestyle takes over, and then all of a sudden you sort of start doing other stuff, and so I put school on hold, and it's been on hold long enough. So
where are you going to school?
Seminole State.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so I work towards so I've got some college, and now I got to get it to transfer over, see how much will transfer over, and then start from there, and then we'll grind away, get to that 4-year degree.
That's right, brother.
The deceptive intellect will be a real intellect.
I know.
No deception needed. He's got the receipt to prove it.
Yeah. That's
that sheepskin. Yeah. Austin?
You've never heard it called a sheepskin?
No.
That's what he calls a diploma, the old sheepskin.
Oh.
The old sheepskin. Yeah, that's what they call it. That's what it used to be made out of back in the day.
What? I didn't know that. I thought it was just called that.
I think that's why they called it a
pigskin
sheepskin.
is just called a pigskin, even though it's never been made of pigskin.
I think the sheepskin diplomas were once made out of sheepskin.
There you go.
Interesting. So,
what's yours, Austin? I'm sorry.
You're good. So I've got two main ones. The first one is get sexy. I've been doing a lot.
Mission accomplished, at least from here.
Check mark.
There you go.
That's what I'm looking for. But so I'm changing up, going from strongman and powerlifting and just kind of chasing numbers to I'm actually going to be doing some bodybuilding. Doing like a hard cut, doing extra cardio, and instead of going for big 1-rep maxes, going for to failure sets. So it'll be interesting to say the least. But then the other one is the TikTok Actually Average has been a major success. It's over 3,000 followers. If we get to 10,000, then we can be part of the creator fund. So we actually can make money doing that thing. But also, we are turning it into a YouTube page as well. And I actually recorded the first Not Safe for Work episode. Let me put that out there. The first Not Safe for Work episode of the Stash and Beard Fitness Show with myself and Alan Pilley, live from CTX Gym. It was a great time, and we're going to be putting those out every week.
So there you have it.
Adam with the
cheap plug.
Yeah, he looked at me and went, "What are you doing? Hit that button."
Yeah. If you're gonna hit that button when we give cheap plugs, you're certainly gonna hit it when you give yourself.
All right. You're gonna be hearing that so much as I try and grow this thing.
Yeah. All right, I want to get into this real quick. And again, far be it for me to question why players decide to opt out. And, I'm not talking about bowl games. I'm talking about players who decide to leave college and make themselves eligible for the NFL draft. Obviously, everybody makes the decision that they feel is right for them. But that said, all right, so UCF had 3 players during the long holiday who decided that they would not be back next season. Now, senior receiver Trey Nixon, senior running back Greg McCray, and I believe Otis Anderson is also a senior running back. Austin, can you Google whether Otis Anderson's a senior or not?
On it.
So anyway, all 3 of those guys have decided they're going to enter the 2021 NFL draft. But I do wonder if any of them will actually get drafted, all right? It's not like these guys are first-round draft picks or even probably not even mid-round draft picks, maybe not even draft picks at all. They could have stayed at UCF, taken advantage of the extra year of eligibility the NCAA granted all athletes due to the coronavirus, obviously. I still wonder, again, these guys made the decision they made, and good for them. I wish them good luck. I hope they all get drafted. I hope they all have long and successful NFL careers. But I wonder, why wouldn't you stay for one more year? Try to improve your draft stock, all right? Hell, stay in college for another year. I mean, I don't think these guys realize, and Adam, you're getting ready to go to college, all right? I don't think these guys realize what a huge deal it is to be a big man on campus, all right? These guys will probably never be as big as stars as they are right now at UCF. Why not enjoy that for another year? That's just a question I have. Because when I was in college at the University of Florida, I had a blast. It was 4 of the most fun years I've ever had. And again, I realize if you're going to be a first-round draft pick, hell yeah, you're going to come out and try to make millions of dollars. But why wouldn't you stay if you're not going to be maybe not even a draft pick at all? Why not stay and have fun for another 12 months?
Well,
Anybody?
It's kind of something we talk about in a lot of our inspirational quotes is we want to get out of the comfort zone. We want to push ourselves to be bigger and better than we are right now, and that's something that these guys can do. And yeah, Otis Anderson is a senior, by the way. But pushing themselves to not be complacent and be where they are. I understand where you're coming from, but to the same point, their goal is the NFL, and the longer they stay in college doesn't necessarily help them.
You're basically starting your potential earning clock now, and that's the goal, is for those guys to say, okay, listen. Even if I stay one more year, is it going to really matter draft stock wise? Maybe, maybe not. If I'm running the risk of getting injured, which could hurt me. Maybe I sign on as a free agent somewhere and I can actually start the earning. What you're saying, Mike, though, will make a lot of sense for these types of guys if we get the name, image, and likeness. If they can be a BMOC at UCF, and Otis Anderson can get a local bar, a local car dealership to where he's going to make about $30,000, $40,000, and still be a running back at UCF. Then maybe he doesn't leave, But in this moment, especially if you're a running back The NFL or the professional football earning window is so small. What's the average? 3 years guys make it to the NFL. That's if you make it to the NFL. So these guys are like, okay, I'm already 4 years out of high school. Yes, the NCAA has given us this extra year, but that's just another year older I'm going to be with another year wear and tear on my body. Is the NFL going to be that much more interested in me? Probably not.
Okay, but Trey Nixon, for instance, he was slated to be UCF's one of their best receivers this year. All right, Gabe Davis leaves. He was going to be one of their best receivers. He breaks his collarbone early in the season. Only plays a couple of games at the end of the season. If he comes back next year with UCF's offense, UCF's going to have a high-powered offense. Marlon Williams led the nation in receiving at UCF for much of this season and turned himself into probably a 3rd or 4th round draft pick this past season. If I'm Trey Nixon, I come back and try to be UCF's best receiver and try to lead the nation in receiving, and maybe then I become a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, any draft pick. And that assures you of at least making some money when you come out of college. Again, if it were me, I would stay on campus for another year and have fun. But again,
these guys are betting on themselves. These guys are betting on themselves, like, especially a guy like Trey Nixon who says, I'm going to go to the combine. I'm going to run a 4.42.
Well, he's not that fast, but we'll see.
Well, but I mean, again, or he's good. I mean, there's enough reason for him to want to bet on himself, and or he's like, look, he's done. He just wants to start the earning process.
Mm-hmm. Someone on the text line actually pointed something out that's kind of interesting, and it's the fact that there will be more players in next year's draft class, like the people who could be drafted because of this extension. So get in a smaller draft class is an idea.
Maybe. All right, straight ahead, we're going to get back into the NFL action. Should the Miami Dolphins draft a quarterback early in the draft just in case Tua's not the guy? We will discuss that next on Open Mic.
Whether you're drinking your morning coffee or sipping on a seltzer,
ain't no laws when you're drinking clogs.
You're listening to Open Mic.
We all know COVID cases are spiking once again, even though the vaccine is out there. To all of you employers and other organizations out there, if you're looking for peace of mind in this COVID-19 era, Healthy Cells Wellness is a trusted advocate for employers to provide COVID-19 and COVID antibody testing in a calm, organized environment at your work site. That's right. They come to you. Doesn't matter if you're in Orlando, Jacksonville, anywhere in the state of Florida or around the country. Only FDA-approved tests are administered by their qualified clinical staff. If you act now, your insurance company could reimburse you for the total costs of these tests. You can have a safe and a healthy work environment because of a Healthy Cells Wellness. You can find them at healthycellswellness.com. That's healthycellswellness.com. And don't forget to tell them the Bulldog sent you, and you will get a free COVID-19 test. How about that?
96.9 The Game, FM, HD. Online at 969thegame.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic, everybody. I hope you all had a happy New Year. We are back and better than ever. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, and of course Austin Pistolka, the Sultan of Sound. Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in Orlando and in Jacksonville. Your next chance at $1,000, 8:10 a.m. this morning. We're calling it the Dash for Cash. Your holidays are over. Bills are piling up. It's time to make a dash for cash, and we've got your chance to win $1,000 12 times per day. Listen for the keyword, then text that keyword in to 200 for your chance at $1,000. The contest starts at 7:10 a.m. each weekday morning, and then 11 more times throughout the day. 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m., 9:10 a.m. It is the Dash for Cash here on FM 96.9 The Game and AM 930 up in Jacksonville. All right, we had a lot of football over the weekend, the last regular season games of the NFL season. Sultan of Sound, give me some sound from the state of Florida games.
Josh, pump fakes once, fires down the far sideline, caught into the end zone, touchdown, John Brown. Tua lines up in the gun, takes a snap, looks to throw, left side, intercepted, picked up at the 15-yard line. Josh Norman headed to the end zone, touchdown.
Shotgun snap, looks right, throws at the goal line. It's T.Y. Hilton, and he falls forward across the goal line. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Rivers, ball the near hash, hands off to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole, he's on the 30, he's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown, Jonathan Taylor.
Dropping back to throw, Brady has all kinds, throws a deep pass, far sideline toward Godwin. It's caught, touchdown Tampa Bay. Shotgun set, the snap, a good one. Brady flushed out of the pocket, looks downfield, throws downfield. It is caught, touchdown Tampa Bay. Antonio Brown, fire the cannons.
Antonio Brown catches 2 touchdown passes for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday. Tom Brady throws for 399 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Bucs are playoff bound. They beat the Falcons 44-27 yesterday. That clinches the number 5 seed in the NFC playoffs. The Bucs will play the pathetic NFC East champions on the road in the club's first postseason game in 13 years. However, star receiver Mike Evans was carted to the locker room with a left knee injury late in the first quarter. He did not return to the game. Here's my overreaction. Adam, the Bucs can win next week in the playoffs, obviously, against the Washington football team, all right? But without Evans, they are one and done in the postseason.
We'll see what they do against Washington. Washington can get after the quarterback. It's one of the things they're good at. So you'd like to think that the Bucs, with Tom Brady and with the offensive weapons that they have, pretty good defense as well, would be up for that game and then maybe make a run. Mike Evans, what we've heard so far is that he's got a hyperextended knee. It actually looks pretty good for him returning. Could potentially play this week. But he's linking up with Antonio Brown a little bit more here over the last few weeks. And we question why you get an Antonio Brown. Well, when Mike Evans almost blows out his knee in the last game of the season.
That was scary looking, too. It was scary looking. That knee just sort of buckled in the end zone. Ooh.
That's why you go out and get a guy like Antonio Brown. You go get one of the best receivers in the last 5 years in the NFL. So if Mike Evans doesn't come back, you've got that guy. And right now, Tom Brady and him are linking up pretty well.
Yeah. All right, the Miami Dolphins, their quarterback's not linking up much with anybody, although he did throw he had a bunch of yards yesterday, 361 yards. But Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins, they picked a bad day to have one of their worst performances of the season. The playoffs were on the line. The Dolphins got blown out 56-26 by the Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins needed a win or a loss by either the Browns, the Ravens, or the Colts to reach the postseason. None of those scenarios happened. Obviously, when you give up 56 points, it's not all on the offense. But Austin Pastolka, my overreaction on this Overreaction Monday. The Miami Dolphins have the third pick in the NFL draft, compliments of the New York Jets. The Dolphins need to draft a quarterback just in case Dink and Dunk Tua is not the right guy.
Man, that's tough. That's really tough because if you wait in the draft, you might not get as good of a quarterback as Tua. You might just get another dink and dunk guy. And for Tua, it feels like he's been handcuffed this entire season, constantly being switched with Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though it has worked. Don't get me wrong, but it still feels like Tua has been handcuffed. I don't know if we've seen the real Tua, and I hope to see it next year. I don't think the Dolphins should bail on him just yet, but the question marks are definitely there.
Yeah. There are no question marks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Actually, there are a lot of question marks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. There just aren't any answers right now. The Jaguars lose yesterday to the Colts. No surprise there. They finished 1-15. Not much of an overreaction here, all right? The Jags need to fire Doug Marrone today and hire Urban Meyer tomorrow. In fact, Doug Marrone was answering questions after the game yesterday about the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reporting that Meyer has been lining up a staff and telling people that he expects to land in Jacksonville. Doug Marrone said, yeah, I talked to Ian Rappaport.
Ian Rappaport wound up texting me the other day before he broke the story with his sources. And I'll tell you what, I have a great amount of respect for that. I really do. In other words, he was able to get that to me so I can prep my family, my children. So, they don't have to, hear it from their friends or anything like that. And I think that, that's something I'll always appreciate. I think that when the record is what it is, I think, you have to be able to expect those things, but like I said before, I asked about it and it was like new news for us. So, we'll see what happens.
All right, Adam, is Urban Meyer the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
It certainly looks like it, or at least certainly sounds like it. Ian Rappaport is a guy who's pretty well connected, and he is going to come in. He's going to have the number one pick in the draft, so he'll get whatever quarterback he wants,
and a lot of other draft picks as well.
Let me ask you this, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Was he still at Ohio State when Justin Fields came, or no? That was on the back end, right?
I don't know that he. I don't know that he was. I don't think Justin Fields ever played for him. I don't know if he actually decided to transfer to Ohio State while Urban Meyer was still coach. I don't think so, though.
Well, I mean, but I will say this: that he's probably pretty close to Ryan Day, and very, very familiar with Justin Fields. So as we continue to talk about, is it Lawrence or Fields? Maybe that sort of can be something to think about as we get closer to that draft pick. It sounds like he's the next head coach of the Jags, which would be good because he has that Florida tie. and it would bring some excitement along with the number one quarterback in the draft.
So Urban Meyer's last game was the 2019 Rose Bowl, and Justin Fields came in that next year.
Okay. All right.
There you have it.
But, imagine, that he's at least familiar with him.
Yeah.
Ryan Day, obviously a very good friend of Urban Meyer's and his successor. So, I'm sure Ryan Day will be filling up Urban Meyer's head with Justin Fields stories. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2, Cocoa Beach, Orlando. Facebook.com/969 The Game. You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
Oh, yeah, it's time for the blast, and the blast brought to you by Frank Gay Services. When you have a plumbing or electrical problem, you need help now, go to frankgayservices.com. Remember, you can vote on all these topics on Twitter at 969thegame or at thegamejax. We start off with a thought-provoking daily poll after watching Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields outplay Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence in the college football playoff semifinal. Should the Jacksonville Jaguars consider drafting Fields instead of Lawrence with the number 1 overall pick? Yes or no?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You do not base who you're going to draft on one game, albeit a huge game where Justin Fields threw for 6 touchdown passes and Trevor Lawrence wasn't as good as Justin Fields. But it's not like Trevor Lawrence was awful in that game. Clemson's defense lost that game. 49 points Clemson gives up. Trevor Lawrence did throw for 400 yards in that game and 3 total touchdowns. So it's not like he stunk it up. No, you stick with Trevor Lawrence if you're the Jaguars.
Yeah, and then, obviously, I don't think you can go wrong with either guy. You got to wait to get your head coach first, and then that guy will decide what he wants to do on offense, and then make the decision from there. I think the good news is I don't think there's a Ryan Leaf in this situation. I think both guys are pretty good. And if you look at Justin Fields and what he's done through his career, that guy's not a one-game wonder. At one point last season, I want to say he had 40 touchdowns. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist last year, by the way.
Yeah,
he was there in New York with the trophy. So I mean, this isn't just, hey, where'd this guy come from? Good quarterback, no question.
81% of the vote says no. Keep on drafting Trevor Lawrence. Supplemental poll number 1. Did Clemson coach Dabo Swinney cost his team a chance to play for a national championship by ranking Ohio State number 11 in his final coaches poll and firing up the Buckeyes? Yes or no?
That's ridiculous. No. You think Ohio State was so fired up and so rabid and ready to prove Dabo Swinney wrong that they went out and scored 49 points on Clemson? Bulletin board material is overrated. Overrated. Ohio State is a good team. In fact, they might be a great team. All Dabo Swinney said is, I don't know that they're a great team because their resume did not show it this year, and that's why I ranked them number 11. Good for Dabo Swinney for sticking to his principle.
I'm with Mike on this one. I think billboard material, unless somebody's going to actually bring the billboard with them and hit somebody with it, after that, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. Clemson was outcoached. They were outplayed, and I just hope that Dabo's final coaches poll has Clemson ranked 12. That he sticks true to form.
Absolutely. 69% of the vote says no, he did not cost them the chance for a national title. Supplemental poll number 2. Should the Miami Dolphins draft a quarterback with the number 3 pick just in case Tua Tagovailoa isn't the right guy? Yes or no?
Well, it depends on if Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields is available. If either of those two guys are available,
oh my.
Hell yes. Absolutely I would. If you have a chance to draft who picks second in the draft?
The Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Jets are going to take a course. No, because those are clearly the top two quarterbacks. I would not take a chance on Zach Wilson or Kyle Trask or anybody like that with the no. So no, if those two guys aren't available, then no, they should stick with Tua for another year.
Yeah, not with the number 3 pick in the draft, but they've got 2 picks in the first round. They also got Houston's second round pick, I believe, as well. So they're going to have some room in that second round. So they're going to be able to get the best offensive lineman and then a really good wide receiver in the first round. And then with one of their second round picks, or at least a second round pick, maybe you do take a Kyle Trask if he's down there in the second round of the draft, and maybe that's your guy.
With 69% of the vote, nice. The answer is no. They should not take a quarterback at number 3. Supplemental poll number 3. After getting blown out by the Oklahoma Sooners in the Cotton Bowl, was Gators coach Dan Mullen making excuses or simply being honest when he pointed out that his team was playing with a skeleton crew because of all the opt-outs? Making excuses or being honest? Mike?
I thought it was the unvarnished truth. What he said. 9 starters missing in that game. The entire receiving crew gone from that game. Well, you can say he was making excuses all you want, but he was asked the questions, and he said, listen, we have 25 guys missing from our normal team from the beginning of the season. You cannot make any judgment based on what happened in that bowl game. I think he was telling the truth.
Yeah, I think that his excuse has a layer of truth to it, which is, hey, listen, we were down guys. But in 2020, in 2020, everybody had to deal with that. LSU had to deal with that when they rolled into the swamp and beat Florida. That was a 3-win LSU team at that point during the season, and they ended up winning that game. So you can win games, by the way, when you're not at full capacity as a team. I think he should have taken a little bit of that blame, because when you get rolled up for about close to 700 yards, listen, if Manny Diaz would have come out after North Carolina rolled them up like that and been like, well, we don't have this player, and it's really not, it's not our team out there, I would have been upset with that too. You got to take some of that blame. Next man up, you got to coach the next man up. And they didn't do that.
With 53% of the vote, he's making excuses. Supplemental poll number 4. Did Gators quarterback Kyle Trask hurt his NFL draft stock by choosing to play in the Cotton Bowl and playing so badly? Yes or no?
You know what? I'm going to go yeah. I'm going to go yes, even though I don't think you should base who you draft on one game. I mean, the fact of the matter is Kyle Trask was probably a late first-round pick, mid to late first-round pick. Now, because, again, those were 3 interceptions in the first 3 series. Maybe there's a thought among NFL scouts, hey, back to life, back to reality for Kyle Trask. I think he might have played himself into the second round with that performance.
Yeah, I think he was always a late first round, second round type guy. And obviously the draft is one of those things where you get a run of quarterbacks, or if quarterbacks slip, it can push everybody down the totem pole a little bit. I really don't think it hurt him. I mean, he still had one of the greatest college football seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback. He's going to go to the combine, should work out, and then we'll see where he falls from there. But he's always been number 4, somewhere between number 3 and number 6 as far as quarterbacks were concerned going into this draft, and I think he'll stay there. Now, I think he could work out for some teams and maybe impress them there. And maybe improve his draft stock, but obviously throwing 3 bad interceptions in your last game, your last impression, you hope isn't going to be the lasting impression.
Definitely puts a bad taste in the mouth of people watching the film. 51% of the vote says yes, it did hurt his draft stock. And finally, the open mic would you rather poll. Would you rather relive 2020 knowing everything you know now, or just get a glimpse of how 2021 will go?
Okay, a question about this.
Sure.
All right. All right, if you say relive 2020, does that mean you go back in time knowing what had happened?
Yep, everything you know now, Everything that you know as of right now, January whatever 2021, you go back, jump back in time to January 1st, 2020, and you go the entire year.
I'm definitely going back to 2020 and betting all of the sports results that I know the results of. I'm just going to, the stocks, which stocks went up and down, which teams won games. You could make $1 zillion betting the stock market.
Getting in on that Bitcoin early this year.
Yeah, get a little Bitcoin, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take. I don't know. I like the idea of reliving with the information. What's the old? If I knew then what I know now. Mm-hmm. That's why people say that. It's like, man, if I really knew then what I know now, you could make a heck of a lot better decisions. So yeah, that'd be great.
You know what? 2020 was a dumpster fire, and I ain't going back. 2021, baby. Give me a glimpse, even if it's worse. At least I can get a glimpse and be like, the future. I want to go back in time. I want to live in the now, brother. 85% of the vote says they would take a glimpse of 2021 rather than going back to 2020. And that is The Blast. And remember, The Blast is brought to you by Frank Gay Services. A live operator is waiting for you, and a licensed plumber is ready to help today with a solution to your problem fast. That's the Frank Gay way, frankgayservices.com.
Although I guess if you catch a glimpse of the future, you could also, see who won the NBA Finals, see who won the Kentucky. You could still.
Well, it's just a glimpse. I don't know if it's like, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's more of like I don't know. I feel like
just a quick glimpse.
Yeah.
Just a glimpse to see if the world is falling apart. Like, oh my God, fire and brimstone. Oh, Jesus.
All right, straight ahead, we got more football to talk about. We're going to get back into this Tua story. Also, I want to get into this Dan Mullen, whether he was whining or not. That'll be next on Open Mic. But first, your chance to win $1,000.
Touchdown, Tampa Bay! How about them Buccaneers?
Hey! Come on now, fellas!
Spike that ball, Tom Brady.
The Buccaneers play here.
We are football. We are FM 96.9, The Game. Sports. You love it. We love it. Quite frankly, I don't trust anyone who doesn't love it. We are FM 96.9 The Game, Orlando's only sports station.
Okay, I wrote a column during the New Year's holiday. You can read it at OrlandoSentinel.com. In fact, it's still up right now if you want to go. Oh, there you go. Thank you. All right. So the column was essentially about how, Todd Grantham, the University of Florida embattled defensive coordinator, Randy Shannon, the UCF embattled defensive coordinator, Josh Heupel, UCF's head coach, who finished with a 6-4 record, Dan Mullen, who lost his last 3 games at the University of Florida this season, ending the season in a disappointing fashion. All of these guys. Every coach out there, Mike Norvell, who had an awful season as the first-year head coach of the Florida State Seminoles. All of these guys, every coach, I'm talking about college, every college coach in the country deserved a free pass this year because this was a COVID-cursed season. There's no question about that. That again, I don't even know, with all of the distractions, the disruptions, the postponements, the cancellations, the bowl opt-outs, all of those things. How could you logically make a determination on the future of your program based upon what happened this season? That's why I thought it was financial insanity for Auburn to fire Gus Malzahn and give him a $21.5 million buyout. I think it was financial insanity for Texas to fire Tom Herman and give he and his staff a $25 million buyout after Tom Herman went 7-3 this year. How can you logically judge any coach on this illogical season? I don't see how you can do it, and I would have given every coach a free pass this year. And I just think it's, in this day and age, with all of the financial crises we're having in college athletics, for these schools to fire coaches and pay them, by the time they hire the next staff, $30 million. I just think it's crap. I do. My opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird, but sometimes you maybe shouldn't look over the fence of your neighbor, because maybe they have a little bit more than you. At Texas, I don't know that Texas is in a financial crisis. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made this move. Clearly, there's enough money at Texas for them to get rid of Herman, his entire staff, bring in Sarkisian, what his staff will be. And they think it's the right move to do. They actually think it's the right thing to do financially for their long-term future, I guess. And that's, at the end of the day, I mean, the college football is such a big business that you're right. As crazy as it sounds, Mike, okay, fire these guys. That's $25 million. Hire the new guys. That's going to be another $15 to $20 million. Somehow, some way, in a room with probably 5 to 10 people in it, they said, yes, this is the right thing for us to do. And they would probably know more about it than I would.
Well, again, you say that Texas has the money. Well, some schools do this. Florida State did this with Willie Taggart, and they didn't have the money. All right? They didn't have the money, and they still did it, all right? So, again, this is financial insanity. Just because you might think, hey, we can raise this much money and season tickets are going to go back up when we hire Steve Sarkisian next year and the pandemic will be over. First of all, last I checked, Steve Sarkisian failed at his last attempt at being a head coach. In fact, he was fired for being an alcoholic, all right? And again, he's gone to rehab, and he's rehabbed his image as well under Nick Saban. But we've seen many Nick Saban assistants not pan out. I don't know what. Who's the coach at Tennessee now? Jeremy Pruitt. All right. How's that working out? How did Will Muschamp work out at Florida and then South Carolina? Can you name some other Nick Saban assistants? I guess Kirby Smart would be one who did work out, right?
Yeah, that one's been good. Jimbo Fisher, as you mentioned, is another one that's worked out.
Again, I just don't understand how you could fire Tom Herman after, again, it's not like, Charlie Strong, when he was fired, he never had a winning record, 3 straight seasons of losing records. Tom Herman hasn't been awful. He's not been great, obviously. Didn't he make it to the Big 12 championship game one year? Didn't they?
Well, didn't they beat Georgia? Didn't they beat Georgia in a bowl game? As well, a New Year's Six bowl game. So 7-3 this year. Again, that's not terrible during this COVID cursed season. I don't get it. Well,
I didn't get either.
Yeah, I just think that what Texas and Arkansas, or excuse me, and Auburn are looking at is their biggest rival is constantly dominating their conference, constantly dominating them. And at some point, you realize or you make the decision that the guy that you have there isn't going to be the guy to dethrone the other one. And so, those two programs sort of similar in that way, that Auburn's always trying to measure itself against Alabama and Texas measuring itself against Oklahoma, and both of them coming up short quite substantially, as a matter of fact.
And then another pet peeve of mine, all right, and Mark Daniels especially, all right. Did you see what Ole Miss did during the holiday? Oh, they gave Lane Kiffin a contract extension, all right. After they gave Lane Kiffin a contract extension after going 5-5, all right, 5-5, he gets a contract extension. Why in the hell would you give Lane Kiffin a contract extension after going 5-5? You know what's going to happen? That's just another, whatever he makes, another $4 or $5 million you're going to have to pay him when you eventually fire him, because eventually you're going to fire Lane Kiffin.
Well,
right?
We just really liked how he handled himself during this incredibly turbulent time, and we wanted to reward him with that by buying him out for even more money later on down the road.
Unbelievable. It is unbelievable. These colleges spend money like drunken freaking sailors.
Well, guess what? They can, because people like alumnuses decide, you know what? I'm proud to be part of this school, and here, take my money and burn it for me, because apparently I got nothing else to do with it.
I would not give any college that's buying out a coach, I would not give them a cent of my money. Not a cent, not a red cent. If you're spending $30 million on nothing to have somebody go away, why would you do that? Why would you give these drunken sailors money of yours to go spend? Why? Don't get it.
By the way, I'm looking at Ole Miss's schedule. A lot of money made on that Egg Bowl victory over Mississippi State, and then the win over Indiana there, maybe. Or did they extend it before the win over Indiana? They did that before the Indiana win? Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, that Egg Bowl win's really important in Mississippi.
They finished 5-5, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 5-5. All right, right around the corner, we will get Mark Daniels' opinion. I want to know what Mark Daniels, the rabid New York Giants fan, thinks of what Doug Peterson did yesterday, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. We will discuss that with Mark next as The Bridge starts up.
Mark Daniels joins Mike Bianchi on The Bridge next.